Good afternoon, everybody, and it is so nice to see you once again for the final day of my isolation. And I'm really looking forward to my freedom from this isolation and also to be able to share with you this journey on a daily basis. The times that I've spent in actually preparing and researching for our meeting and our time together has really allowed me to reflect on these moments that we are given in our journey on this planet. And sometimes things don't go as per our plans. And we cry and we shout and we sort of, complain as we love to do as human beings. But I think everything happens for a reason. There are really no accidents. And the more I have thought about it, the more I've come to realize that that is really the truth. There are no accidents in this universe. And everything is happening for a reason. It has been orchestrated for our own learning, for our own growth, and ultimately for a greater good. So, today, the fifth day of isolation, I'm going to be bringing you the fifth power tool that I have. And this, I believe, in my opinion, is the most powerful of all tools that we have got that has the ability to create a shift in our whole existence on this planet, but more importantly, create that healing of the wounds that we carry for years, for decades, and I think in many cases also for lifetimes. And that tool is something that rests between your two ears, and that is your mind. So, I want to begin by saying that, in my opinion, sorry, I forgot to put the mic. So, those of you who can't hear me, I hope you are able to hear me better now. So, with that perspective, I believe our mind is a really powerful tool that allows us the ability to be able to shift our perspective, come up with amazing new ideas, new solutions, new perspectives on how we can view this world and use it to an advantage that allows us to grow. And I think in many ways, when I'm going to be talking about the mindset, or it's not just purely a mindset, your mind, which is not just brain, because many a times when we talk about the mind, the picture that comes in our mind is that of the brain. Your brain is not the mind, but your mind is a function of your brain and is much more than that, because it allows you to connect with a higher mind, the mind of the universe, the mind of the planet, which allows you a significant download of what I call as insights. So before I do that, I think I want to emphasize on this one concept of awareness. See, we live in an ocean of information. That information, like the to give you an example, if you go back in time, the Wright brothers, who were the first people to actually discover and invent something that was heavier than air, that could float in air. All right. The concept prior to their discovery was that nothing heavier than air can ever float in it. Nobody had the awareness to actually even think about it. In fact, if you look at Wright brothers, their father, who was a minister in the church, had said to them that he got the smell of what these two boys were up to, and he had said that even for thinking of something as sinful as defying the laws of the universe, like the laws of gravity, he would tell his sons that you would have to burn in hell for even thinking about it. So, this was how conditioned we were in our own thinking about how this world could be transformed with one idea, which came in the minds of the Wright brothers. And they were so committed about it, they were not going to rest. They were bicycle mechanics. They were bicycle mechanics. They had no degrees in aeronautical engineering. That branch never even existed. And they were just convinced with this one idea that they could build something which was heavier than air, that could float in air. Now think about it in an era where it had never been done before, never ever. And mind you, they did not defy the law of gravity. They only introduced the law of lift. I know this well because I studied this for a science project that I helped my son with. So we got so absorbed into it. And right from my childhood, I was really absorbed and fascinated by anything that I could see flying in the sky. Like even as a young kid, I would be so fascinated with flying objects, as most boys are. I think they are interested in guns and they're interested in aeroplanes, so I mean, I was more on the latter, and I was so fascinated by these heavy objects made out of steel and metal, and they're flying in the air. So uh, Wright brothers, just coming back to that concept, Wright brothers did not defy the law of gravity. Rather, they worked with the law of lift. And the law of lift says that when you create a negative pressure underneath a solid surface that is moving at a high speed, it can actually create a law of lift, and it overtakes the law of gravity. So it's not that the law of gravity did not act. The law of lift, which was also another law of physics, overtook that law. So, what I'm trying to make a point over here is that it all rests on our awareness. Everything is resting on our awareness. And that awareness is really something that allows us the conviction, the belief in our abilities to do whatever we believe mentally we can do. So, this is where your mind power, your willpower, your ability to imagine comes. And imagine is not like imagination out of like something random. You have actually marinated this idea. And that's where I spoke about when we spoke about the concept of sleep. Why sleep is important in creating your healing. And I said to you that when you go to sleep in a state of worry, all your worries, all your worrisome thoughts are marinating for the next 6 to 8 hours in your mind. They're just marinating. And what does the universe say? The universe says, I'm going to come and seal your wish. Whatever you're marinating on, I'm going to just seal it for you. So, this is where, when you start marinating on ideas that are uplifting not only for you, but for others as well, you will start to get clues, you'll start to get hunches, you'll start to get ideas. And that is what is called awareness. So, on the concept of awareness, I want to read something to you, if you allow me, from this book that I'm reading these days, which is called The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. Now, you might say this is some crazy stuff, but I tell you, I'm so fascinated by this stuff because this really hits the nail on the head. And I want to read this chapter to you and few brief lines out of it, on the subjective control, chapter 12. It's a very thin book, but as I said, it's a small book, but not a slight book. It is so powerful. I don't think I can read more than 1 or 2 chapters more than in one sitting, because the content is so heavy and powerful that I need to marinate on that. I need to absorb that concept. So let me read this up on subjective control. He says that your imagination is able to do all that you ask in proportion to the degree of your attention. All progress, all fulfillment of desire depends upon the control and concentration of your attention. Attention may be either attracted from without, which is outside, or directed from within. Attention is attracted from without when you are consciously occupied with the external impressions of the immediate present. The very lines of this page are attracting your attention from without, which is from the outside. Your attention is directed from within when you deliberately choose what you will be preoccupied with mentally. It is obvious that in the objective world, your attention is not only attracted by, but is constantly directed to external impressions. But your control in the subjective state, which is your internal state, is almost non existent. For in this state, attention is usually the servant and not the master, the passenger and not the navigator of your world. There is an enormous difference between attention directed objectively and attention directed subjectively, which is your internal control, and the capacity to change your future depends on the latter. Please understand this. He says capacity to change your future depends on the latter, which is your subjective thinking. When you are able to control the movements of your attention in the subjective world, you can modify or alter your life as you please. But this control cannot be achieved if you allow your attention to be attracted constantly from without, which means from outside. Just think about it. It is so powerful that I feel that this is so important to emphasize again, that when you are able to control the movements of your attention in the subjective world, which is the internal world, you can modify or alter your life as you please. And I think if we think about whether you talk about weight loss surgery, whether you talk about, getting into a new relationship or getting out of an existing relationship or buying anything new or making a significant change in your life, all of this is hinging on what is the vision that you are projecting about it. A lot of people have weight loss surgery because they want to change their own image of what they want to become, but they are still reinforcing their past by seeing that, things are not working. People are still criticizing me. I get upset, I get emotional, and I go to food for satisfying those emotional needs. How do you expect change to happen in that situation? It's not going to happen in the long run. And that is precisely what Neville is saying in this, that you have to work on your subjective attention, which is the attention that is coming from within. And in the final words, what he says is, in other words, concentrate on those thoughts or moods which you deliberately determine. Then those things that now restrict you will fade and drop away. The day you achieve control of the movements of your attention in the subjective world, you are master of your fate. You will no longer accept the dominance of outside conditions or circumstances. You will not accept life on the basis of the world without. Having achieved control of the movements of your attention and having discovered the mystery hid from the ages, you will assert the supremacy of imagination and put all things in subjection to it. And I think this is where the power of awareness comes in. See, because I was not aware of it, that my attention, my awareness has got such a huge bearing to play in creation of my own reality. I wasn't even aware of it. I was just randomly reacting to people. I was randomly reacting to things. Now, what I do, this is my constant endeavor. I'm trying to work on it, getting better in it. I do fall down at times, but I still choose to dust myself up, stand up again, and walk again. What I do before I do anything, say if I have to get into my consulting session, I set out an intention before that I'm so grateful and I'm so happy that I have this opportunity to be able to serve people. Before I go and operate someone, I ask for divine guidance to be able to assist the person who I'm going to operate upon, so that I can serve them in whichever way I can and whichever best possible way for their own betterment. So I set the intention. I seek guidance from that divine universe. It's not a religious act in my eyes. It's not something to do with religion that I grew up with. I just feel that I am guided, and I believe that when you get that guidance, you get that confidence that somebody's taking care of you, somebody's guiding you. You just have to keep progressing, and you have to keep moving forward, doing the right thing. So with this, friends, I hope I've given you some real heavy stuff. I know this is heavy stuff for many of us, and it may not land very simply because many of you may feel challenged in your thinking about it. But I think we are all on our own journey. When we hear something that resonates with us, we will pause and we will listen to it. We'll not only listen to it once, we'll listen to it again and again and again until it actually sinks in and forms a fabric, a part of the fabric of our being. So, if this resonated with you on any level, I thank you, and I thank you mostly for allowing me to be of service, for listening to me. And I wish you all the very best from the core of my heart, that may you go out there in the world and shine your light on this planet, because we are all here for a specific purpose. We are all here to fulfill our own journey of evolution, but also affect and influence so many other people that we come in contact with through our kindness, through our presence, and through our love. So take care, stay blessed. I'm sure I'll see you at some stage. All the best.